So it is that time of the week. We got ourselves a brand new wrestling games roundup. Interesting news for WWE 2K22. New leak revealing even more content that was cut. When to expect the next update and the latest for the AEW Fight Forever video game. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to always be up to date, and let's get into it. First off, for the AEW Fight Forever video game, Tony Khan gave us an update indicating that the roster isn't finalized, which hopefully means that we will be getting more superstars than what was previously reported. A couple of weeks ago, it was reported that it will be around 50 superstars only, so it looks like that number is not correct. He indicated the following: I am not going to put an exact date on the release of AEW Fight Forever game, but we put a lot of time and effort into the development of this game. It's gonna be great. A lot of the great stars of AEW are in it, and a number of people who came in even in the past year will be featured in that game, and a lot of big stars have come in the past year, and we have added some stars along the way that I think are very important to get in the game for everyone. In regards to DLC, he also added the following: so we will have a great roster when we launch, and then we will still be able to add people through DLC as we go, but making sure we get the best possible roster when we start. We signed so many wrestlers in the last year, especially in the recent months. We may not be able to get every single person in, but people that have signed pretty recently, we're still trying to get some of the biggest names in because we think that's the best chance for the launch of the game. We already have a lot of them, and we are adding more. There's still no detail on the actual release of the game. We do know it's going to be available in consoles and PC, and most reports have indicated that it will release later on this year. But again, there is no formal confirmation on it yet. As for who's in the game so far, based on what we have seen and other confirming reports, we got CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Sting, Adam Cole, Ruby Soho, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Darby Allin, Hikaru Shida, Jungle Boy, the Young Bucks, Owen Hart, Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander, and Nyla Rose. Hoping that they ended up listening to the fans' feedback and the roster do get extended for the launch, especially if the previous reports that we talked about were true, which indicated that the creation suite won't be that deep. So if that's not going to be as good, obviously having a default roster is extremely important. We got a lot to talk about in regards to WWE 2K22. First off, just in case you missed it, there are some brand new rewards for my faction. For faction awards, they changed the rewards to Emerald Xavier Woods and Shotzi Blackheart, Sapphire Booker T, and Ruby Mandy Rose. In social media, they also shared a brand new locker code. To celebrate the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view this weekend, the locker code itself is Hell in a Cell. It gives you 2 Superstar Series packs and 1 Silver Fighting Spirit side plate. I think these rewards are horrible. We should be getting something better, and this is coming from somebody who barely plays my faction, so I could only imagine just how useless it is for people that do play my faction a bit more often. Where are the diamonds? And of course, you guys already know, I gotta say it, please give us an update for those cool alternates like DX to be playable outside of the mode. Let's talk the next update and DLC. It looks like we are not going to be getting a better replacement than the My Faction cards. The next DLC pack is releasing in just a couple of days on June 7. We are going to be getting Hurricane Helms, Stacy Keibler, A-Kid, Wesley, and again, we are still getting the bonus of My Faction cards, Booker T Evil, and Seth Rollins Sapphire. And as you guys can see, we already got our first look at one of the DLC. Hurricane Helms ended up sharing 2 screenshots, and he looks like he is ready to go. Can't wait to see how the other DLC characters look. As for the next WWE 2K22 update, expect that to be coming on Monday, one day before the DLC drops. Usually the DLC and the updates drop around 1 PM Eastern time, and obviously this is just speculation, but based on that previous DLC pack that we got, the update came out around 24 hours before for it, as it needs to add support for that DLC, so it's fair to expect the same thing this time around. I do hope that is a big one and that it heavily focuses on fixes, because after the last update it does feel like things have gotten worse, as I've been experiencing even more crashes. Last thing we are talking about is something extremely interesting in regards to remove content from WWE 2K22. Previously we discussed the Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt Fiend audio leak, and now Canada Soldier once again through data mine have revealed multiple characters and plans that were ultimately cancelled for this year's game. Canada Soldier basically revealed a list of theme songs references in the files for characters who never made the final roster, but they were initially considered to be in it or maybe be part of DLC and so on, and many of these would have been awesome to see. This theme song list superstars like Bronson Reed, who as we know was dropped from being DLC after being released. There's also a couple of extra versions of Mick Foley, of course Bray Wyatt, the Undisputed Era, extra theme song for Adam Cole, probably because the Undisputed Era broke up and then Adam Cole went solo, so he would have an extra one if he made it into the game. There's also a listing for the Blood theme song. This is one that of course Edge ended up using a couple of times last year, but with Christian now making it into the game, and obviously they don't have Gangrel yet. Hopefully we do get all of this in the future. More theme songs listed were for Justin Thunder Liger, who of course was supposed to be part of the showcase, but it looks like they were not able to work something out in the end. The Godfather The Hurt Business theme song, which as we know did not survive past update 1.05, and probably the one I'm most disappointed about being dropped is Carlito. As indicated in the Reddit post, reported to be a part of the roster, likely dropped with the 2006 Royal Rumble showcase match. Carlito's theme is referenced despite not being in a game ever made by 2K and or for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One gen consoles. Confirmation that at one point he was planned for this game. Again, much like a lot of the other names that we just got to mention. A lot of the other themes that were listed in this post and again referenced in the files of the game are alternates for other legends like The Rock, Nation of Domination, APA for Rook and Brasho, 2017 and 2020 Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair 2015, Bobby Lashley 2020, and so on. It's worth mentioning that none of these themes are in the game anymore. These are only references to it, again indicating that at some point these superstars or this alternate were going to make it into the of course canceled WWE 2K21 or this year's game WWE 2K22. I honestly expected a couple of these to be DLC like Carlito and so on, so it's definitely unfortunate that we won't get it. So that is all the latest, guys. Definitely a bunch to take in. Drop a like on the video if you've been enjoying the coverage, subscribe if you're new, and of course check out some of our previous WWE 2K22 content like the one being suggested to you right now. Stay savage and I'll see you there.